hear it.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the 4 Train Express. I am your boy, the 4 Train Express. I am joined by Jason of 161 River Ave. Hope you guys are all doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are. We have a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a very, very action-packed show. We have stuff to talk about from Cease to Snell and Monty to Snell's interest and to other potential pieces that the Yankees could get. Also, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I greatly appreciate all of you joining me today. Jason, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. Going pretty good. I'm just waiting for a busy January. We're a little under 6 weeks away from free agency. And as it pertains to the Yankees, their roster's at 40 right now. And they still have guys they need to bring in. So there's going to be trades that are going to happen. So for those that think the Yankees are busy, keep watching because they're not going to be done. And for those that think the Yankees are done, keep watching, okay? They've got a clear room for 40-man roster players they're going to be bringing on in trades, starting pitching and relievers. And they have 5 catchers on the 40-man. I would imagine they're going to move 1 or 2 of those. Probably. So they're not done. By any stretch of the imagination, they're not done. So Yankee fans, just be patient. We ask you. We beg you to be patient. And we'll hopefully be able to report some good news to you in the near future.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I mean, let's start off with the most obvious one, and that's Blake Snell. Everyone is like, oh, well, we should go get Snell. There was reports that the Yankees were interested. There was also reports that Cole was on board with it. There's reports that Snell was friends with Judge. There's reports that Snell is also interested in being a Yankee. So there's a mutual interest between both the Yankees and Snell. Where do you see that going? Because I don't really see it going anywhere, especially since it doesn't sound like the Yankees want to spend that kind of money. I mean, there's other teams that have stuff that we need, like the Marlins. They need bats. They need a catcher. I mean, it's just something to play around with and think about. But the whole Snell situation is a very interesting one. What's your take on that?
So a couple different takes. Number one, for those of you that don't know, the Yankees payroll is currently $287 million. Okay, that's factoring in projected arbitration figures, which are going to be submitted on this coming Friday. So we'll know how much wiggle room the Yankees have on Friday. They'll know how much wiggle room they have. And at that point, it might be more, it could be less. That'll give us a good idea on who they might be able to sign in free agency, which is why a trade for a pitcher or a couple of pitchers might be a more likely destination at this point because they have such little wiggle room. And I'm talking about the Cohen threshold, the highest threshold there is. So as it pertains to Snell, this talk, he's good friends with Aaron Judge. He's also a member of the Judge Foundation, right? So, and a speaking member of the Judge Foundation. So they have a relationship. Cole's on board too. He's happy with it. And again, you would be getting the 2 Cy Young Award winners. But again, in terms of the math, and when you factor in the math, he would take them over the Cohen threshold.
Yes, he would.
You have to clear payroll. So in order to stay under the Cohen threshold, and I don't think he's going to make any less than 28 to 30 million per season.
Yeah.
Short-term, long-term, I don't think he will. I could be wrong, but let's just say 30. That puts the Yankees at 317 with the 30.
Yeah.
Okay. How would they clear off some of that other payroll? Well, you could trade Torres, which he's projected to make 15, but again, you'd be forfeiting a bat. So you could trade Tommy Kahnle and Johnny Loizaga, about $8-9 million right there. So you'd still have some wiggle room to go, which is why Mike and I keep saying that expect more moves to happen because they could trade catchers. They could trade some other guys that are on the 40-man and clear some more payroll incrementally. So there is a way to probably mathematically do it for Snell, but he will, just like Jordan Montgomery, he will take them over the Cohen threshold. And the question is, are the Yankees willing to do that? If they were willing to do it,
they would have.
But that didn't happen. So that's in the past now. There's no point in crying spilled milk over now. So, but the Dodgers are stuck with him now.
Yep.
Okay? They're stuck with that 12-year deal, and they're stuck with paying Shohei Ohtani for the next 20 years. So, so in a way, the Yankees did dodge a bullet. Okay, and there are the two opt-outs are strategically put in Yamamoto's contract for elbow health reasons. If you look at the opt-out, they're due to elbow conditions. So the Dodgers are offering protection for themselves here as well. So, but Snell, again, I do think he's represented by Scott Boras. There he is, Santa Fees in the house.
What up?
Represented by Scott Boras, as is Jordan Montgomery. And I think there's a limited market for Blake Snell. There's a limited market for Jordan Montgomery.
Yep.
And Scott Boras is doing everything he can to generate as much interest and make it known or make people think that the Yankees are involved in both of them. Because what that's going to do is it's going to drive the price up for these guys. So I'm not surprised that he's doing that. So what's your take on these guys, NFL?
On Blake Snell and I mean, here's so look, I kind of came to the conclusion, like as we were kind of talking about it this morning, and as I was driving to the gym, they're gonna have if they're gonna go after one of these guys, they're gonna overpay. I mean, I think it's gonna boil down to that. And Scott Boras, we all know he's gonna get the most money he can for his clients, and. Does Snell? Do I think Snell should get over 200 million? I don't think so. Not really.
No.
And I know I know Montgomery's looking for a contract worth more than Aaron Nola, which rightfully so. I get that. He just won a World Series, but Snell at best is like a number 2 or 3 starter, and Monty's like a 3 or 4. But they're commanding like number 1 type of money, number 1 pitcher type of money. I think that's why the waiting game is happening for so long because Boras is he's trying to ask for a lot of money where other teams are just like let's pump the brakes. So I don't it'll be interesting to see what happens as far as who goes where. I know it sounds like Monty wants to really go back to Texas.
Udall, you're good. You're not blocked, Udall.
Yeah. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying Monty was going to go. I know he's expressed interest in going back to Texas, but I know Texas is trying to, work on that TV deal. So we'll see what happens with that. I had him originally going back to Texas as one of my predictions. But we'll, like I said, and then Snell, I don't know. I know there was reports of him being interested in the Yankees, and I know Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole have, gave their stamp of approval, but it's just a matter of does Cashman want to pull that trigger? That's kind of my take on it as far as those two guys go. And you guys already know my take on some of the trade pieces potentially. Everybody's talking about Dylan Cease, and so I'm not trading Spencer Jones. I don't know why some Yankees fans are talking about trading Spencer Jones. I'm not trading Spencer Jones. I don't know what's with this talk of Spencer Jones. Like, why all of a sudden Yankees fans are gung-ho about trading Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez. I was like, weren't you guys crying a year ago or just this past season about bringing up the youth and bringing these up to and letting them play? Now we're trying to trade them. I understand we need pitching, but I'm not giving up Spencer Jones for a Luzardo or a Dylan Cease. I'm sorry, they're great pitchers. I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm not giving up Spencer Jones for these guys.
No, absolutely.
I'm not going to. No way.
And,
no way.
That's a great point, because if you think about it, Cease is a carbon copy of Luzardo from the right-handed side. Luzardo is a carbon copy of Cease from the left-handed side. And Aiden, I am not trading Spencer Jones for a year of Corbin Burns.
Absolutely no.
No, we're not going down that road. But before I continue this, just give a quick shout out to the chat. Jonathan, as always, how's it going? Chris Schmidt, Udall, Kev, Stephen B, Dev, Aiden, all of you guys. Thanks for joining us this morning. But why would we trade Spencer Jones when we can easily, when originally I said I would have only traded Spencer Jones for Juan Soto. But we got Juan Soto, and we didn't give up Spencer Jones. So why would I be in a rush to trade him now? Unless I would know what I was getting back was worth the return. So, for example, a Yuri Perez, Braxton Garrett, or Yuri Perez, Edward Cabrera combo. That would be something I would consider trading Jones for. Now, if you really wanted to go batshit crazy, try to, call up Seattle and be like, hey, well, what's it going to take to get Munoz over here with the starter? I might consider it, but even that's pushing it. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who don't know, I write for NYYU, and one of my articles just got posted. Jason, you and I were talking about this earlier, but I had proposed possibly looking to get George Kirby. So a package that I had proposed would be second baseman Gleyber Torres, outfielder Everson Pereira, and outfielder John Cruz. So you're getting two controllable young outfielders plus Gleyber Torres. Plus we would have to eat the Gleyber Torres contract, which, as Jason pointed out earlier, wouldn't do anything to the payroll. It would stay the same. So you would still be at the 287 that you were at, even if you had Torres. And in return, you would get right-handed pitcher George Kirby. Whoever has not seen George Kirby pitch, check out his highlights. I can tell you now, he is an outstanding young pitcher. So do check out his highlights if you have not done so. So that was one thing that I had proposed. And the whole Cease trade proposals are ridiculous. Let's trade Spencer Jones. Let's trade Jason Dominguez. Will Warren. No. Pump the brakes a little bit. This is where you've got to say, okay, you start here. We'll start here. We'll negotiate and we'll meet in the middle. Look at what the Yankees and the Padres did. The Padres at first wanted 7 players. Brian Cashman laughed at them and hung up the phone. And they're like, okay, I guess 7 players is a little too much for a Juan Soto, so we're not going to have you do that. Why don't we work with 5 players? And they eventually met in the middle and got the deal done. So the White Sox and the Marlins have to come back down to reality because they're not going to get what they want. Mm-hmm. Jason, you and I spoke about this before the show started. They called the Orioles the Orioles called the White Sox about Cease. They asked for Jackson Holiday. And what did the Orioles do? They laughed and hung up the phone.
For those folks that might not remember, when they tried to do this to the Yankees at the winter meetings, Cashman and was it Cashman Hal or Cashman Boone? They got up and they left. They got on a plane and they left.
Cashman and Hal.
Winter meetings. Cashman Hal. Okay, so
I think Boone was with them too.
For those folks that were thinking the Yankees were panicking, that's really not a sign of panicking. They got up and they bounced. They called their bluff. Okay? And the Padres had to come back down to reality. Just like the White Sox are going to have to do the same with the Dylan Cease. Just like the Brewers. I mean, the Brewers probably in a little bit of a different spot because maybe they think they can win that division. They probably could. And their farm is really good. So they don't need position players for Corbin Burns. So, whereas the other teams are a different story. The White Sox are kind of in shambles right now. They need bats.
The White Sox don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah, so they're in a different standing than the Brewers are. And the Brewers have a top 10 farm as well. So they don't need the Yankees prospects for 1 year Burns. And there's no way the Yankees are going to give them Spencer Jones 1 year Burns. So like where the team stands, the opposite team is I think is an important part to add to this equation. So, and for those that haven't heard of NFE, and I was saying too that so Friday is the day that the arbitration figures have to be submitted, right? And the Yankees, as it stands right now, are at $287 million, but that also factors in the projected arbitration figures. If the actual figures are higher, then they'll have less wiggle room. If the arbitration figures are lower, they'll have more wiggle room. So we'll know more information on Friday. So, and I don't know if you agree with this, but I'm of the opinion if any move happens before Friday, it's probably going to be a trade for a control pitcher.
Oh, 100%.
How much more do you have to play with until then?
So, and if you, before I kick this over to you, Brad, you said the White Sox have apparently dropped their asking price for Cease. Do you know what the details of that are, and what the source is? I'm just asking because if that is true, that could play in the Yankees' favor.
You're right. They're going to have to ask. They're going to have to drop their asking price.
No, absolutely. But if that is true, if that report is true that Brad is saying, that could work in the favor of the Yankees. Heavily work in the Yankees' favor. Because the Yankees have what the White Sox need. That's bats. They have what we need, which is pitching. So if they have dropped the asking price for Cease, that's a very good thing, and that they're starting to come down back to the planet Earth a little bit and starting to, come back to reality. But NFE, I wanted to ask you, Jonathan brought up a point, which was actually 2 points. I wouldn't trade Jones unless I get young, controllable pitching. And then he also went on to say, Jones is part of their future. They aren't trading him unless they can get real value. Let me ask you, NFE, and then Jason will throw it over to you. What would you consider real value that would be worth trading a Spencer Jones for?
I mean, for me, real value, if I'm trading Spencer Jones, I better be getting some Cy Young pitcher. That's just my opinion. I better be getting a good arm back for Spencer Jones. He's one of the Yankees' top prospects. And
he's their top
so he is our top prospect. Thank you. So he is our top prospect. Okay. So I do not give up Spencer. Again, I do not give up Spencer Jones for Dylan Cease. I need like a Cy Young winner. I mean, some people might say Corbin Burns, but I wouldn't do that because he only comes with 1 year of control. And it's just a rental at that point. And we already have a rental in Juan Soto. I don't want to have another rental on the team. Now, if it was, let's just say if it was Corbin Burns and he had like, 2 or 3 years of control or something, I might consider it for Spencer Jones. If Corbin Burns had 2 or 3 more years of control, I would consider trading Spencer Jones for that.
What's up, Dane?
What up, Dane?
What's up, Dane? Dane, if you want to join, you have the key to get in. It's completely, I'll get that to you if you need it. That's up to you, man. But glad to see you in the chat. So, Jason, I want to throw this over to you now. What would you consider real value? Like, what would you like? What pitcher or pitchers would you consider trading?
2 controllable starters.
Okay.
Not a starter and a reliever. 2 controllable starters, which is why I don't see a trade happening for Spencer Jones. But that would be my counter ask for anything. You want Spencer Jones, that's what you got to give up. Period. Otherwise, no deal.
I'm bringing this back up. You brought that up, right, NFE?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to bring this up. Jones, Peraza, and Cabrera for Bieber and Class A.
No.
Interesting, but no. And I'll tell you why no. 1, Shane Bieber has 1 year of control left. He is hurt, or injury prone, I should say. And Class A, there's no guarantee that he's going to want to come here. Peraza, Rortvet, and Cabrera for Shane Bieber in Emmanuel Class A. That's interesting. I mean, I'm sure the Yankees would do that, but I don't know if Cleveland would do that. I don't think that's going to be enough to get it done, but that's interesting, though. I think you would have to give up a little bit more to get both of them. I think you may have to throw in Torres in that, and I hate to say that because it's probably what it's going to take. They'll probably take a package of Rortvet, Peraza, Cabrera, Torres, and maybe one other guy like an Emmanuel Tejada, but you're going to have to give up quite a bit to get both of them. And yes, CWE, that is correct. They don't have room right now for Jones, but when Judge gets to that point where he cannot play the field anymore, Jones will probably be the next guy up in the outfield, especially since we probably won't sign Verdugo.
Yeah, and because that was the other thing I was going to bring up about Spencer Jones was that I envision him as being the future of the outfield with Juan Soto and Jason Dominguez. Because Judge is going to be 32 next year, or this year, should I say. He'll be 32. So, he is getting up there in age. So, I probably would give him, another 3 or 4 years in the outfield before, the Yankees put him into a DH role. And then Spencer Jones can take over that role in the future is what I had in mind. Or he could be on the roster and him and Judge can, Judge can play a few games and then other games you can have Jones play.
So Jonathan brings this up, and it is Jones in a package for Bednar and Paul Skeens.
He was the #1 draft pick out of LSU by the Pirates.
Paul Skeens?
Yeah, he was the #1 draft pick out of LSU.
I wouldn't even do that. And
they're probably going to want to build around Keller.
Because I would want a legitimate 2 controllable starters like Jason said.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one team that can legitimately offer that to us that would be worth it, and that is Miami.
Unless somehow the Marlins are willing to give us Kirby and Logan Gilbert, which I don't see happening.
If the Marlins gave us Gilbert and Kirby and Munoz, that's something I would consider, but I doubt they'll do that.
You're never going to do that.
No.
CWE brought up another point here, which is Stanton is here for the next 4 years and Stanton blocks Jones. That is very true, but
Stanton's a DH.
Yeah, Stanton's a DH, exactly. So I'm saying,
I'm blocking him.
Exactly.
They don't make room for Jones.
But
he grades out at 80. So a handful of players that grade out at 80.
If Stanton has another year like he did last year, they may just bite the bullet, cut him, pay the rest of his contract, and send him on his way. As much as I would hate to see that, because I want Stanton to do good, I just don't see him having another year like he did last year and having a spot on this team.
No.
Well, let's just hope that with this, with him getting in shape and him losing that weight, because he's been looking pretty slim, that he does avoid injury. But we'll see.
Also, to CWE's point, Stanton DH meaning Judge can't DH meaning the out. Don't just give Dominguez the outfield spot. He's got to win it from Jones. Period.
He's got to win it from Jones.
Yeah. Coming off John, I wouldn't put him in the outfield. I would DH him, make sure that he's healthy before putting him in the outfield. Jones grades out of the better outfielder than Dominguez is. That's a fact.
Yeah.
People don't like that, but it's a fact.
Yeah, I don't think they're giving Jones the credit that we're giving him, honestly.
And I like Dominguez, but he's been hyped through the roof.
Right.
Okay. And yeah, he had a great 2 weeks, but so did Kevin Moss when he played for the Yankees. He's got to come back and show that he's healthy and he got to produce. I'm not just handing him the spot over Spencer Jones. Just like I'm not handing Jones the spot either. He's got to earn it as well.
Now, if he can prove that he can do it, then yeah,
different story. But again, at the end of the day, like I could see at the end of Stanton's tenure, let's just say he stays the whole 4 years. At that point, I could see Judge transitioning to DH. Then,
yep,
there's like 4 or 5 years.
Bless you. Thank you.
I could see that.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our next pitcher that we've been talking about so much, and that is before we get to that, Dame brings up what you were talking about earlier. That Jones is much better defensively than Dominguez, and I just want to put this out there. For his size, he stole 43 bases, and that is quite impressive. So I just want to put that out there.
That's not to take anything away from Dominguez, and I don't think Dane's taking anything away from him either. No. They're both great. Jones just happens to be better.
Yeah.
So if we can keep both and figure out a way to get them both in the lineup, absolutely.
Absolutely.
This is where having that depth comes in handy. And if you can figure out a way to add that to Jones, and add that to Soto, add it to Judge, and that's exactly what the Yankees want to do. And this is why, a lot of folks can't wait for Stanton's contract to come off the books, right? Can't wait for DJ's contract to come off the books, and so on and so forth, because it makes life easier to plug these guys in on the cheap to counter and complement these expensive players.
Mm-hmm. So Montgomery, we've talked a lot about Montgomery over the last few weeks, how the Yankees have an interest in bringing him back and, having a reunion with him. It does not sound like it's mutual. It sounds like Monty wants to go back to Texas, but it doesn't sound like Texas is going to be able to re-sign him due to this whole TV deal issue that's going on. So where do you see Jordan Montgomery going?
Boston Red Sox.
NFA?
Fair enough. I understand Boston. I get that because of his wife's, doing her residency over there. But I had it originally Texas, but doesn't sound like that's the case anymore based on what I've been reading. I also wouldn't be surprised if he was to re-sign with St. Louis.
True. And to the points you guys made last night, too, they are entertaining offers right now on their closer and Masataka Yoshida, which would be more payroll to afford a guy like Montgomery. So I could see that happening.
So I've got two teams that I could see Monty going to. One's a sleeper. One's more of a team that, I could see that kind of thing. The first one would be the Orioles. The Orioles don't have a frontline starter. He could be a nice frontline starter for them. He could really take over control for that pitching staff. He could be a great mentor to guys like Grayson and whoever else they've got in that rotation, Tanner Scott, or I think it's Tanner Scott. It's one of those guys, but he could be a great mentor for that rotation. My dark horse, Philadelphia, to fit in right behind Nola. Because let's say they don't re-sign Zach Wheeler. Let's say Wheeler walks. Now you just got that safety net for Nola.
Yeah, but the Phillies they've been trying to work on an extension for Wheeler, though. So
in the event that they can't, you get Monty, you now still have that safety net for him. So that's where I'm going with that. But
then signing Montgomery at the.
Did you freeze? Did NFE freeze?
I think he froze.
Oh, we lost him. There he is. He's coming back.
No, he froze. He'll be back though.
But it's a good point too. If Philadelphia can represent another option, and like you said too, if they don't somehow, I know they want to re-sign Zach Wheeler, but if they don't, he's a logical fit there too, Montgomery.
So Ryan New brings up a very valid point. A Soto, Dominguez, and Jones outfield will be outright scary for opposing pitchers. think about it like this. You've got two big lefty bats, Soto and Jones. And then you've got a switch hitter bat that you could slide right in between those two and Dominguez.
Yep.
Can you imagine what that does for an opposing pitcher? Especially with the ceiling that Jones has?
It's gonna be scary. It really is gonna be scary. I'm like, you have these highly touted. This is the first time we've had this many highly touted prospects that were this close or already succeeding at high levels in a long time. So, having Dominguez and Jones in there potentially with a Soto and Judge and that's pretty formidable, man. Pretty formidable lineup right there.
Yeah.
And if you're adding other guys there too, let's just say Jared Serna at second base.
Jared Serna is so.
Yeah.
Everything that Dane has told me about Jared Serna, and by the way, for anyone who has not seen the Yankees Farm Report on NYYU with Dane, please go check that out. I cannot tell you how knowledgeable Dane is on the farm system. Please go check that out. It is great, great talk when it comes to the Yankees farm system, and the amount of knowledge you will get from it is just second to none. So go check them out. Jared Serna, from everything that Dane has told me, is a special, special player.
Gamer, total gamer.
Total gamer. Nice bat. Plus defender. I mean, a special player. The ceiling is through the roof for him. So
you have a combination. To me, it's like a combination of Dustin Pedroia and Jose Altuve. Like, he's undersized, but he's feisty, he's all hell, and he can produce on so many different ways. That, to me, is somebody to be excited about. It really is. And again, like the CWE's point, Jones isn't blocked. There's nobody on this team that can block Jones. Nobody.
I'm not sure why he keeps saying that.
So, if Jones makes it out of spring training, he makes it out of spring training. So,
you got to give him a chance to earn his spot.
He might be back. He might be in the Bronx before Dominguez gets back here for all I don't know.
You know something? As much as I would love to see Dominguez back, I don't want to rush him. I don't.
Be smart.
I don't want to rush him.
He's a kid.
I want him to take his time, get rehab, get his arm back to where it was, let him rehabilitate, let him go through the process of going back through the minors, getting his reps in, getting healthy, and then bring him back up. If Spencer Jones happens to make the team out of spring training, if he gets a spring training invite, he's got to get that first before we can say he'll make the team. But if he can get an invite to spring training, that will be his shot to say, this is why you keep me and you don't trade me. This is why I'm staying here, and this is why you put me in the outfield.
Yep. He's also working in the lab. For those that know, that's what Aaron Judge's hitting coach is. Oswaldo Cabrera is working in the lab right now. Labor Torres is working in the lab right now. Anthony Rizzo is working in the lab right now. Okay,
I heard that.
He's working on cutting down his strikeouts, and improving the play recognition, pitch recognition. So that's an important piece.
That's working in the lab, as you said, Jason.
Yeah,
that's you.
Yeah, and that's an important part of Jones's next level of development, right? And some people saying that Jones leapfrog by Dominguez was already. Jones was just drafted a year ago. Dominguez was drafted like 5 years ago, internationally. So and again, he's already gone up from rookie ball to Double A, and he can make the major leagues this year. So he's got 3 years out of Vanderbilt, which makes him as major league ready as you're going to get. So, and again, it's a tough comparison to Jason Dominguez because they have two potential elite superstar outfielders.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to compare the both of them. You
don't want to compare, but you don't want to take anything away from either one of them because they both have different skill sets that can be so useful. And I'm going to ask you this: if you're the Yankees, you've got this big guy in Spencer Jones, right? What would you give him that invite this year, or would you wait till next year to give him that invite? And then throw it over to Jason.
Man, that's tough because he's like right there.
Right at the cut. Like hard.
He's right at the cut. If it's me and I'm a person who doesn't like to rush the process, I want to take it step by step. I'd rather him wait one more. Give him one more year. And then give him an invite to the next spring training. But with that being said, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he does get an invite to spring training.
Jason?
I would invite him to spring training and then let him get the experience and exposure, and then I'd start him in AAA to start the year.
I like it. Okay. I think I'm with you on that, Jason.
Just like they did with Anthony Volpe.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Start him in AAA. Let him get used to that adjustment because AA to the majors is an adjustment. So, and even Jason Dominguez had to go to AAA before he went to the majors. So, it just happens. So,
CW says he would move Jones for 2 elite pitchers. What elite pitchers would you move him for?
And what team would actually move 2 elite pitchers for him?
Yeah, exactly. That's the other question.
So that's something you got to think about as well. Is a team going to give you 2 elite pitchers just so they can get Spencer Jones, especially if they are also on the cusp? I don't know if they'll give you 2 elite pitchers. They might give you 1, if that. So there's also been a lot of talks about, well, at least with us, the 3 of us, about potential moves or trade partners with the Yankees and how they're not done yet. I don't think they're done. Jason, I know you don't think they're done. And NFE, I know you don't think they're done. What direction do you see them going? Do you see them going in the direction going into talking to Chicago to try to get a cease if his price has indeed lowered? Or do you go to Miami and see what you can do there? Or do you go to Seattle? Or do you go to San Francisco and say, what is it going to take to get Kyle Harrison over here?
Go ahead, Anthony.
Go for it.
I was just going to say, they're at $287 million right now. Bieber's going to take them over the cone threshold with arbitration numbers.
Yep.
Cease is going to get them up there too, most likely. So I think that's important to keep in mind. That's why guys like Kyle Harrison might represent a more logical fit because he's on the cheap for the next several years. And I could also see the Yankees moving guys like Loaizaga and Canely to clear up salary because they're some of the higher paid relievers, and they've already added 2 relievers to the stable, so that gives them a flexibility to maybe maneuver a little bit. And I expect them to move at least 1 catcher too. So I'd expect them to probably cut another $10 million off the payroll, anywhere between 8 or 10 million, which will essentially take them from 287 to 277. That's a little bit more wiggle room, right? So, but that said, I think those things are going to represent, and they're at 40, man. They're at 40 right now with the last moves that they've made. So they're going to have to clear spots to make room for pitchers. So just with that, using that logic, there is no way the Yankees are done. None. 0.
So what direction do you think they go in, NFE?
I keep exploring all these trade options with other teams, and it just seems like the Marlins just make the most sense.
Cabrera is one of them.
Yeah, and Cabrera is one of them. As much as I would like to get a Luzardo, I mean, it sounds like Spencer Jones's name keeps getting mentioned. So I'm saying I'm not trading Spencer Jones. You guys have heard me say this multiple times. And I'm going to continue saying it. I do not include Spencer Jones in any trade unless I'm getting some sort of like high caliber pitching back. And Luzardo is good, but he's not that high caliber pitcher that that I would want. Again, great pitcher. He's a great pitcher. I'm not taking anything away from him. So just so everybody's aware.
Yeah.
But Cabrera is the more likelier choice, I would say, where they wouldn't have to, ask for Spencer Jones. Cleveland would make sense for Bieber or Dylan Cease from the White Sox. The Mariners are another trade partner, but I don't know if the Mariners want to. I don't know if they want to trade away any of their pitching. That's the thing. I feel like they value their pitching a lot, but I could be wrong.
To your point too, and I feel like, when it comes to the Marlins, they're smart enough to know they're going to ask for a lot for every pitcher. They're not going to just ask for Moon for Luzardo and then pittance for everybody else. They're going to ask for a lot for Cabrera, Garrett, Rogers, whoever they're willing to trade. They're going to ask for a lot for. I mean, the Luzardo might be the only guy that they might ask for a Spencer Jones. We don't know, but they're still going to ask for, and it's right for them to do that. These are controllable young pitchers, right? So they should ask for a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, and the same thing with the Marlins. I mean, the Mariners. I think the reason why we pivot back to the Marlins and the Mariners is because they are willing to move arms for bats. And we have the depth at the bats that they might need, and without having to give up arms. We'd have to give up arms for Luzardo.
Yeah.
Right? We'd have to give up arms for Burns. We'd probably have to give up arms for Cease. So those are probably the three most unlikely fits. Cabrera, on the other hand, might not have to give up arms. So, and we may even be able to move an arm in a trade like that too. So, like an expensive reliever or something like that. So, I think that these are these little pieces of the puzzle that I think are important to keep talking about because they matter, right?
And I like Rob's comment here. They were willing to blow past the tax for Yamamoto. I don't think they care about payroll too much this year. Next year they have a ton coming off the books. He's right. He makes it. That's a great point.
But I'll add to that. What other free agent aside from Yamamoto was 25?
That's also a fair point.
Fair point, yeah.
He's the only one in the free agent that was 25. You want 25s, you got to trade for.
And
so
I've been seeing a
reason why
in the chat saying, "Oh, trade Peraza, trade Peraza." No, don't trade Peraza. Don't trade him. There's no need to trade Peraza because let's say you trade Torres. Let's just, for all intents and hypothetical purposes, say you trade Torres. You now have Peraza to step in and fill in that role. So you don't trade Peraza unless you know what you're doing with Torres. So let's pump the brakes on that for a second because I don't think they should trade Peraza. Now, unless you're getting some value back for him, okay, but it's not a piece I'm willing to trade just to trade him. I'm willing to make a trade where if I'm getting something of value in return, I'll consider it. So, for example, Trevor Rogers of Miami. That might be a person I would consider trading Peraza for. Edward Cabrera. That's another one I would consider trading Peraza for. But I'm not just going to trade Peraza just to trade him because he's not playing. You can't do that to a kid. Unless you're going to get something in return that's worth something, you got to hold on to him. That's just me, though. You want to be strategic and calculated about it, but you want to be smart as well. You don't just want to hand over freebies. You can't just hand over guys because you're desperate. Because that's going to show the fan base. So,
yeah. And to your point, and to Sean Browning's point, Sean's saying Torres, Workvet, and Pereira for Cabrera for the Marlins. You might have to replace Torres with Peraza because Peraza has 5 controllable years left.
Yep.
Torres is expensive. Can be free agent. I don't think the Marlins are going to be willing to pay that money. They're going to want a cheap, controllable shortstop, and this is where Peraza's value comes into play. right? So, and the Yankees did trade for Yorba Vivas from the Dodgers, so we do have a replacement for Peraza already if they happen to move Torres or so on and so forth. So we do have a built-in replacement, but that's I think this is probably where strategically Peraza's. It may not even cost, like at Dane's point too. It may be Peraza and Burke for Cabrera. It might be, or Peraza and Pereira for Cabrera. It might be 2 players instead of 3. And if that's the case, even better, right? Yeah. The Marlins do need a catcher.
Rob has been saying this for the longest of time now. I just want to point that out. I just want to point that out. Rob has been saying this for the longest of times to get Edward Cabrera. I'm 100% on board with that.
Big, strong, right-handed pitcher, throws hard. You love those guys.
Absolutely. And then Sean said, let's not waste Peraza options with yo-yo chances. Give him a real shot in the majors. Absolutely. CWE puts at this point, the chances of the Yankees adding 2 starters are slim. 1 is more realistic.
Depends.
What do you guys feel on that?
Depends. I mean, they could trade for 1 and sign. I can't see them signing 2.
No.
I could see them signing 1 and trading for 1 or trading for 2. So, but if they clear more payroll, it makes it easier. And this is where I think these moves are going to come into play, which is I can see a Loizaga trade. I can see a Canely trade. It clears more money to make it easy for them to add another starter. Yeah. So whether it be in trade or as a signing. So
also, just to put this out there, Dane put this up a while back. Peraza and Yoendrys Gomez each got extra options yesterday.
Yep. It also gives the Yankees more flexibility. It also increases their trade value.
Yes.
One way or the other, it does both.
It does.
So thank you for pointing that out, Dane.
The other thing you could do, if I know we've said, do not give up more arms. I know we have talked about this. No, it's not a very popular topic, but I hate to say it, but if it comes down to having to give up an arm or 2, we may have to do it. I know it's not a popular topic, but if we have to give up, just for example, we would have to give up like a Brock Selvage or someone, right, to get a big arm in return. We may have to just bite the bullet and do it. Not saying it's going to be Brock Selvage, but it's just an example. So that's something we also have to consider as well, not just trying to give up bats, because at the end of the day, we may not be able to just give up bats.
Yeah, Selvage I would consider, maybe even Clayton Beater. My 3 absolute no-nos: Henry Lane, Will Warren, Chase Hampton.
Yep.
They're no-nos for me. Those 3, I would consider the other guys, but those 3, hell no.
Absolutely. I would consider also trading Vivas if we had to.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He's got a better bat than Peraza.
What was that?
Vivas has a better bat than Peraza.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. He does.
If it meant getting if let's say Miami called us up and said, hey, instead of Peraza, we want Vivas, but we'll give you Edward Cabrera, would you guys do it?
No.
No?
Not for Cabrera.
I might consider it.
You better give us somebody with more controllable years than Cabrera. You want
yeah.
We've got 3 controllable years. I want somebody with 4 or 5. If I'm up in the package, so are you.
Yeah, and again, this is where I like Brian Cashman's standing his ground. Because I understand other teams wanting the best players from the Yankees. I get that, but but Brian Cashman, he's still doing his job of being like, no way, man. Like, you want these guys, we want these guys. If you're telling us no, why are we giving up our guys for, they're always trying to rip the Yankees off. Like other teams are always trying to rip the Yankees off.
Yeah.
And then, I know fans always get upset at Cashman of why didn't he pull the trigger? Why didn't he overpay? I mean, it's easier. I mean, it's easier said than done. You know, when you're not managing the team or running the team.
Sorry, NFE. Edward Cabrera has 5 years of team control. He's not a free agent until 29.
Edward Cabrera?
Yes.
Does he
He
have
has
5?
5 years of team control. 2029.
I mean, if it's 5 years of control,
that means you're giving
that could change. Yeah.
Yorbit Vivas for 5 years of control of Edward Cabrera.
Let's see. Contract. Edward Cabrera. I mean, he's got for next year an extra ARB year. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, well, that makes a difference. I still win.
Yeah. No.
So,
okay.
Let me ask you something. We have Nestor, we have Cole, Rodon, and Schmidt, right? Just want to get your takes on this. Why would you want 2 starters? Just to get your takes, get a better idea. Someone had asked it just so we can all understand where you guys are coming from on it.
Why 2?
Yes.
Last year, the only 2 reliable starters were Cole and Schmidt, right? And everything else was patchwork. I mean, Rodon, we didn't get what we needed out of him.
Yep.
Cortez, we didn't get. The only other guys that put together a semblance of innings were King, Johnny Brito, and Randy Vasquez, and that was kind of patchwork, right? So, and Herman and Severino. So, like I said to you guys, you know, if it was just we hadn't traded those pitchers to San Diego and we still got Soto, I would say we needed 1 pitcher because we just lost Severino and Herman. But we lost them and the pitchers that we gave up to the Padres. So in that regard, I think 2 innings eating pitchers would be a wise idea. Reliable innings eaters. Okay, guys that can give us 300 to 340 innings per year. 2 of them combined, obviously, to make it easier. And again, this is with the condition of moving guys like Nestor Cortez and Luis Hill to long relief. I think it would be a really good idea to have 2 reliable long relief guys. Because if our starting pitchers, no matter who they are, whether it's Cabrera or Cole, whoever, like Rodon, they get lit up after 2 innings and they need somebody to come in and throw 4 or 5 innings. This is where having a long relief, reliable guys in long relief, because that's a difference between using 3 pitchers in a game or 8 pitchers in a game, right? Because sometimes the Yankees have done that this year, and again, they haven't had enough. And this is where, I mean, to your point too, like they haven't had enough dependable innings from their starters, so they've overused their bullpen, not by poor management from Boone, by lack of options.
Yeah,
and they're forcing Boone's hand. He had no choice. So this is why I think long relief is so important. So again, back to your point too with Cabrera. Now that I know he has 5 options, you want Vivas, I'm asking for a reliever too.
So then, if you did,
I'll give you Vivas, but I want Pucker, Nardi with Cabrera.
Would you do Nardi and I was going to say Nardi and Cabrera for Vivas?
I'll give you Vivas, but you got to give us a reliever too.
No, I'm saying Nardi or Puck and Cabrera for Vivas.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. So, again, so Dane asks a good question. Where does Warren fit in? Again, this is where I think the fifth spot is up for grabs, like between Warren and Hampton. Like, let's just say they bring 2 pitchers in, right? And they have, let's say, Cabrera and Cease, just for giggles, right? So Cole, Cease, Cabrera, Schmidt, that's 4. Okay, hold on a minute, and Rodon, it's 5. So I would still want an open competition for the 5th or 6th spot, whether it be Warren and Hampton. Nardi. So Nardi's he's a lefty, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
But again, like Warren has to earn, like, Schmidt has earned his spot now. Yep. So again, just like Dominguez and Jones, I'm not just going to give Warren the spot. He's got to win it. I'm not just giving Hampton the spot. He's got to win it. You got to win it over Schmidt. You got to win it over Schmidt. That's the competition. That's what has to happen. So, and it's always good to have more starters, maybe 6 or 7, because there's always injuries in the Yankees starting rotation world. So it's good to have guys like Warren and Hampton ready to go, ready to step in, and at that some point they might take over somebody's spot. You never know.
Yeah.
So, and again, there's no guarantee that the Yankees bring in 2 starters. It could be bringing in 1 and using the 5th spot for one of these guys. So we just don't know. You know, and there, I wouldn't say there's no way to bring in 2 starters.
And I don't think they're done yet.
Yeah, I mean, I still think they'll bring in 2 starters. I mean, they definitely need 1. That's a fact. But I could see them bringing in 2. It's just, I wouldn't have, if there wasn't a lot of question marks about the starting rotation, if, Rodon pitched the way we had hoped, and if Cortez was able to stay healthy, then I would have said, okay, they still need 1. They need to get 1 starting pitcher. But the only reason why I've been, I'd say all 3 of us were asking for 2. I mean, at least for myself, I'll say this. It's just, I want the rotation to be covered in case something happens. Cortez, I like personally, I don't really want him in the rotation. I want him in the bullpen. I think he'll be a better bullpen arm. I mean, his shoulder is questionable, and he can't go long innings. Unfortunately, like he can't pitch long innings. Every time when he gets to like that 5th, 6th inning, he collapses a little bit. And we saw that last year. And also the shoulder was bothering him, so that was an issue. And then with Rodon, he was just never healthy. And we hope he's healthy next year. And hopefully he's that bulldog of a pitcher that we signed for. But it's just I think heading into this offseason, again, if the rotation was healthy this past season, I think we would have just asked for 1 starter, but I think 2 is necessary.
But if they got Cabrera, Cabrera and Warren won a spot, I'd be okay with that, provided.
Yeah.
I mean, Carlos Rodon gave us a full season, reliable seasons or a better season. So, and Schmidt takes another step in his progression too. So, at the end of the day, I think we need more depth to give Cole some protection.
Agreed.
Protection.
Yeah, and the Yankees are going to have to make a move. I mean, we're 6 weeks out before pitchers and catchers report.
Yep.
So spring training is right around the corner. So, I know some fans are saying, "Oh, the Yankees aren't going to do anything; they're just going to wait around." I don't agree with that. They're going to do something. What that is, we don't know, but they're gonna get somebody.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna get somebody. They're gonna get a starting pitcher, at least 1 for sure, and then we'll see.
We'll see
what happens after
that move for Soto if they weren't serious about winning. I don't see him making that move for Verdugo if they weren't serious about winning. So I don't think that they are. I don't think that they're done.
Mm-hmm.
As quiet as they've been, this is just what they do. We all know this. Yankees don't like to say anything. This is their MO. This is how they work. This is how they operate. Mm-hmm. Jason, you said this. NFE, you said this. We just have to wait it out. I know it sucks that we got to wait, but Dane, have a good one, bud. I know it sucks to wait.
You, Dane.
But it's something that we're going to have to do, unfortunately.
I don't mind sorry, go ahead, Jason.
No, I was just going to say, I think we're going to have to wait until at least Friday.
Yeah.
Because when the arbitration number, they'll have a better idea of how much money they have to play with. And I think that, that clearly matters to them. Otherwise, they would have made irrational moves like the Red Sox massive overpay for freaking Giolito. The Reds massive overpay for Frankie Montez. The Yankees aren't going to do that. Doesn't make any sense to.
You see Steven's comment? When Yankees are quiet, they are dangerous for a trade come out.
Yeah. He's right. Yeah. He's right, man.
And then,
and I was going to say, when, Cashman, the Yankees are never going to announce what their next game plan is. I mean, there was, they made it known that they wanted Soto. They made it known that they wanted Yamamoto. Those were, well known, but other moves that they do, they're just not going to come out and say it. Like then every team is going to try and you know, go against them, like go after the players that they're trying to go after. So yeah, they're not going to announce every single move that they're going to make.
Why would Cashman have to be gone if he gets started through free agency but doesn't trade for him? That doesn't make sense. That makes no sense. Why would he have to get fired if he got a starter through the free agent market? That doesn't make sense. Where are you going with that? Also, I started a couple of comments, which was Jonathan, which was next weekend there could be a big trade. Absolutely. And then welcome to the proactive Yankees, where Cashman is a master at chess, and he sets up the board to his favor.
They needed him to do that this year.
Yeah.
They needed him to, Jedi master this stuff, and he did. Like, and this again, like I said to you in Job, I said the other day, like they were so early in striking that it seems like it's been 10 years since they've done anything because they were so freaking early, and they're never that early in free agency. So,
but they were proactive.
Yeah, exactly. And they made they addressed their offense in the span of 48 hours.
Yeah.
And then boom, boom. People were like, "Whoa, holy crap!" But it's been weeks since then. And even though they've made minor moves, not sexy moves, a lot of folks think they didn't do anything. But aside from them, and I said this, I asked you, like, aside from them and the Dodgers, what are the teams that made big moves? The Cardinals added a couple of pitchers, right? The Braves made a couple moves. What other teams made big moves like the Yankees and Dodgers? No.
Let me ask. Yeah. I want to ask everyone in the chat something. Other than Yamamoto, Ohtani, and Glasnow, what other needs have the Dodgers filled? Because they still have needs. They still need another corner outfielder or two.
Closer.
They need a closer. And we traded 7, not 8.
7 pitchers.
Because last season would repeat if Cashman doesn't get us 2 reliable starters. Al, you don't know if it's going to repeat like that. You don't know what's going to happen next year. So let's not jump the gun on that. But we have enough of an idea of what the Dodgers have done compared to what the Yankees have done. And you and I spoke about this before the show, Jason, that the Dodgers only addressed one need, and that is pitching. They have not addressed their corner outfield situation.
Nope.
I mean, they got Margot from Tampa Bay, but that's one corner outfielder. You don't even know how he's going to do. You know that they haven't addressed the closer situation. They still need a corner outfielder.
Yep.
Another one, on top of the fact that they've only gotten starters. So that's number one. Number two, the Yankees have addressed the bullpen with these minor moves. They have addressed their 2 corner outfielders and their lefty bats by getting 3 of them in Grisham, Verdugo, and Soto.
Contact bats that change the philosophy of their offense.
So they have collectively, with all these minor moves and then the trades that they made, without spending a dime this free agency, have addressed more needs than what the Dodgers have after they spent over $1 billion. So let's put that into perspective for a second.
Yep. The Yankees starting lineup has gotten better. Their backups have gotten better. They added infield depth. They added outfield depth. They added bullpen depth.
Just because the Dodgers have spent all that money does not guarantee them a championship. And if you really want to go deeper into this, if you really think about it for a second and stop and think about the Yankees, for what they've done, have a better chance of making it further than the Dodgers because of the needs they've addressed.
Mm-hmm.
And NFE, I want your opinion on this. With the needs that the Yankees have addressed, do you think that the Yankees have had a much more successful offseason because of the smaller moves that they've made and the 2 trades that they got Soto, Grisham, and Verdugo with than what the Dodgers have done by getting Glasnow, Yamamoto, Ohtani, and Margot.
Yeah, Yankees addressed a lot of their holes. They addressed so many of their holes, and without having to spend any money. You know, that was the beauty of this offseason so far. And with these smaller moves that the Yankees made, with these moves that the Yankees made, like the smaller moves, again, they're addressing needs. They're addressing all their holes. So they're building a team. You know, it's quality over quantity, right? Yep. So you're trying to build a team, and let's take a look at this past postseason, right? Who was the one team that a lot of us thought were going to be World Series champs?
The Mets. The Mets and the Braves.
Well, what happened?
Didn't happen.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, did anybody, and I asked people in the chat, did anybody in their right mind think that the World Series was going to be the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks? Let's be real.
No.
Okay. So I didn't. I didn't. And so, you know, it's not, again, it's quality over quantity. And the Yankees made some very good trades. They got Verdugo, they got Soto, they got Grisham, you know, and they made some small moves by adding pitching, right? Pitching depth. So the way I see it, they're building a quality team. It's not always getting, the big names. And I know some people in the chat are saying that the Dodgers addressed more things and they wanted the offseason, but only time will tell.
The offseason's not over yet.
Let me just say something.
It's not over yet.
Yeah.
Kudo. The Dodgers have not addressed every need.
Yeah.
They have other needs. It's not just the starters. And Ohtani's not going to pitch this year. So we have to put that into perspective as well.
And winning the offseason.
He may be next year, but he's not this year.
Winning the offseason doesn't win the World Series either.
Exactly. And there was two comments that I had up earlier. Where are they? So
best top of
Soto, Grisham, and Verdugo addressed 3 needs in 2 moves: outfield, bench, and hitting. Right on the money with that. And then the Yankees are 1 top starter away from being a serious contender. Absolutely. We cannot sit here and say that the Dodgers have addressed all the needs that they needed to, because they haven't.
Best rotation all of MLB.
Wow. And to what Sean Browning was saying, quality over quantity.
Yep.
Yeah. Top of the order, Caputo. Yeah, they got a good top of the order. But what happened? Does the other half of the order not matter? They're gonna batch 24 and then else.
Back off of what you said, Jason. They have a good top of the order. Great.
Sure.
What about the rest of their lineup? Their lineup is not as deep as the Yankees. Let's be real here. The Yankees have Soto, Verdugo, Judge, Stanton when healthy, Rizzo, Torres,
Verdugo.
Who else do they got? They got
DJ.
Who? DJ when he's on.
Volpe. Okay.
Volpe, yeah.
They have
their lineup is White Wells. Thank you, Hirsch.
And to your point too, Michael Caputo, the best starting rotation. Urias is no longer on it. Kershaw is no longer on it. You added Ohtani, he's not even going to pitch this year. You added Yamamoto, has thrown a pitch in the major leagues.
Yeah.
You have Tyler Glasnow, hasn't thrown more than 120 innings, I think.
Yeah, but his arm's made of glass, literally.
Made of glass. And who else do you have? Walker Buehler's coming off surgery. Bobby Miller all coming off. So how is the best rotation in all baseball?
It's not.
Just a question. It's out of curiosity.
Also, how does Volpe suck? He was a rookie and won the Gold Glove last year. Let's be real. Come on back down to planet Earth, Caputo. Come on. I know you're a passionate Yankees fan, but Volpe just won the Gold Glove for shortstop. Let's be real here.
The Michael Jordan of MLB. Oh, good Lord.
Great.
Oh, boy.
They added Yamamoto. Great. They added Glasnow.
Hold
Great,
on.
they added Ohtani. Guess
Hold
what?
on.
Ohtani's not pitching this year.
Who's the Michael Jordan of MLB? Hold on a second.
Yeah, I want to. Oh,
My
Ohtani's a
Ohtani?
Michael Jordan. MLB.
Okay. Are you kidding me?
Ohtani is not pitching this year. He's only hitting.
Ohtani hasn't even won a World Series yet.
And when they need to give Ohtani or guys like what's his name, Freeman and Betts, a partial day off, they're going to have to sit Ohtani. Let's get real here. Glass now, injury prone. His arm is made of glass. Let's stop for a second.
Yeah, that's comparing anybody to Michael Jordan is kind of unfair and unrealistic. Like, that's Michael Jordan. Like,
Yeah.
he's the Jesus of they call him Black Jesus for a reason. So
I mean, maybe you can include, maybe you could say Derek Jeter. You know, maybe. Yeah.
Babe Ruth is the GOAT of MLB. And again, you got Ruth and you got a couple of guys, but Ohtani, again, let's just compare him to Juan Soto. Soto has a higher career batting average.
Yep.
Higher career on-base percentage.
Yep.
Only 10 home runs apart from each other. Soto's got a ring. He also has a home run derby title. Ohtani doesn't have either. So, I'm not saying Ohtani's overrated. He's great. He's great. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player. But
I'm not taking anything away from
Jordan, that's kind of let's. I think it's important to come back to it.
Here's his accolades. You ready for this? Juan Soto is a 3-time All-Star, a home run derby champ, a 2019 World Series champ, a 4-time Silver Slugger, and he won a batting title. That's Juan Soto. Ohtani is a 2-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger Award recipient, and then Major League Player of the Year.
And how many times did Ohtani beat out Soto for the MVP?
0.
Mm-hmm.
Goose egg. Ohtani is injured. I'm bringing this comment up because David brings up a great point. Ohtani is injury prone. He's had 2 Tommy John surgeries on the same arm. So we can't say that he is better in any way, shape, or form because he's also made of glass in a way too. And I hate to say it like that because I don't want to take anything away from him. But when you've had 2 Tommy John surgeries, that says something.
Yeah, and when we're going to compare it to MJ, his team won because of him. Like, you could put him in 4 high school players and they would make the NBA playoffs. That's Michael Jordan. So how many times did the Angels go to the playoffs? They had Mike Trout. They had Rendon. They had all these other guys, right? So it's really it's an unfair comparison.
It is.
Again, it's not taking anything away from Ohtani. He's great, but again, Soto's a Yankee.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, and Michael Caputo, I'll take Soto over Ohtani any day of the week.
Absolutely. I was just about to ask you, who would you take?
What's up, Colin?
Soto or Ohtani, and I would take Soto 100% over Ohtani any day of the week because of the fact that he is younger. He is 25. Let's put that out there. And he has a higher, like you said, on base percentage.
Higher batting average.
Yeah, higher batting average.
They're only 10 home runs apart from each other, and he's 5 years younger than him. No.
Yeah, I'll take a 25-year-old Soto over an almost 30-year-old Ohtani.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ohtani's generational is just an older generational player. I'll take the younger generational player. So.
Yeah, and my Caputo, I don't think the Yankees are going to let Soto walk. I mean, they didn't trade all those players just to let Soto walk the next season or after next season. I don't think the Yankees are gonna do that. So, yeah. Do you think that the Yankees
do I feel the Yankees will successfully sign? Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. Don't know what his market is. What his price tag is going to be.
Well, last I checked with Yariel Rodriguez was that he was, the Blue Jays were the front runners to get him. That was the last thing I read. And then after that, I haven't heard anything else about Yariel Rodriguez. I think, would I want the Yankees to sign him? I would, but as a bullpen piece.
Yeah.
Personally.
I think so too.
I agree.
So I think Soto's a Yankee for life too. CW.
I think so too.
Yeah.
CWE's, I think, absolutely right on that. I think he's gonna stay, and I don't think he wants to leave. I think because his family grew up. Well, I guess his father was a big Yankees fan. He was a big Yankees fan. His idol was Cano. So I think he's going to enjoy it. Plus, when he found out he was getting traded to us, he was extremely excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
what if Soto wants $800 million? I don't.
Not even dealing with hypotheticals. Not even worth the time.
Yeah.
Unless he asks for it, not even entertaining it.
Yeah.
Well, Scott Boras has every argument to ask for $700 million now.
Yes, he does, because of the fact that Soto was 5 years younger.
Yep, and 5 years younger spread out over 14 years is different than 700 spread out over 10. So, and again, he'll get a lot of jersey sales just like Ohtani. He'll have a huge market here as well. So, that I'm not worried about.
I'm not worried about it either.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, that with also, just to put this out there, Hal did say that he would sell his 22nd pick next year just to re-sign Soto.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't foresee that being an issue. And with them not getting Yamamoto, it doesn't make me think anymore that he's going to let Soto walk.
Yeah. So if Ohtani, I think so. I think Boras is probably going to ask for $700 million for Soto, and again, it'll be spread out over a longer period of time. $700 million was a ridiculous overpay for Ohtani. That doesn't mean the teams are going to have to make that ridiculous overpay annually for Soto. That was the Dodgers' choice to set a whole new threshold. So, but the fact is, $700 for 14 or 15 years, yeah. It would be much more worth it than 700 over 10.
Yeah.
So, well, this is the thing, Mr. Coconuts. To be fair, he'll bring in international money. There's a reason why the Yankees are the most valuable franchise in sports, not the Dodgers.
Yeah.
They know how to monetize opportunities.
Yeah, they do.
Right? So,
again, it's going to be interesting to see. Do I think they bring in another starting pitcher or two? Yeah. Do I think they bring in a reliever? Absolutely. Who it is, we don't know, because the Yankees are locked down tighter than Fort Knox.
Yeah.
So we have to remember this. But, we'll go around the table one last time before we wrap this up. Yeah. Jason, what do you think the next move is that the Yankees make?
A trade for a starting pitcher. Probably Edward Cabrera. Probably or trade with the Marlins. The Mariners. One of their controlled starters.
And if
this is probably the easiest and the most logical move to make for them.
Absolutely. And if
their next move is going to be trading for a starter. I think that's what their next move is going to be. I don't think it'll be a free agent signing. I think a trade is more likely. To me, a trade just makes more sense than a signing as of right now.
Uh-huh.
So I think a trade with the Marlins, and I think I'm not even thinking about Luzardo anymore. I'm more or less thinking about Cabrera now.
Yeah, I agree. How have they not done Dick? They got Verdugo, they got Grisham, they got Soto. How's that not doing anything?
Yeah. They've added depth in the infield. They added depth in the outfield. They added depth in the bullpen. So they've gotten two cheap, controllable relievers with 3 years of control each. Okay, that could replace expensive relievers.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Just had a question. Are you of the mentality, Caputo, that the only moves the Yankees need to make are the big, expensive ones?
Yes.
Yeah, they added 2 relievers. I just said bullpen. They have 2 relievers, and they have Scotty Frost coming back, Luis Hill coming back. They're getting reinforcements back.
Yes, they are.
So they just added Cody Morris. They added the reliever from the Dodgers, 1 righty, 1 lefty.
The dude from Miami.
Each. Okay. They didn't get pitching. You're acting like the offseason's over. There's 6 weeks left. Okay, and Friday, again, I say this, and I said, and maybe you weren't on when I said it, Friday's the day when arbitration figures have to be submitted, this coming Friday. So the Yankees will have a better idea of how much money they have to play with once those arbitration figures are submitted.
How is this a joke? We can't go with Hill or Warren? Warren is one of our top pitching prospects, and Luis Hill could be a fantastic addition to the bullpen. How is that a joke? I don't understand that, Caputo.
Yeah, Caputo, you need to start doing your research, man.
Man, you gotta throttle back a little bit, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you're saying things that don't make sense and don't add up. You got to throttle back a bit, bro. But this is going to do it for us. We have pulled into the station for the final stop on the 4 Train Express. Jason, thank you. NFE, as always, thank you for co-hosting with me. I greatly appreciate you. Jason,
pleasure, man.
We are going live tomorrow at 10 p.m. Or no, excuse me, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. So please tune in for that. NFE, if you can jump on, please do. Jason, if you are available tomorrow, I'll get you the link for tomorrow. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, chat. You guys were awesome. Until next time, guys, have a great rest of your day. And this is your boy, 4 Train. See you later.